times people broke down on paternity court.
2 other kids while I was pregnant. You knocked up 2 other girls while I was pregnant.
Take care of my other 2 and I'm gonna take care of my 3rd.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry, Mr. Kaiser.
You sure?
Are
you
I'm
sure?
so sorry.
DNA or not, he can be that son of that boy's father.
That's what I'm talking about.
Miss Kelso appeared in court seeking child support from Mr. Davis, who, on the other hand, totally denied paternity because of Miss Kelso's entanglement with another man.
Claim Mr. Davis has done nothing for your son, so you're suing for half the child rearing expenses in the sum of $2,561. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Davis, you say Miss Kelso was in a relationship with another man, Mr. Hafner, during the window of conception.
The trial began with a famous judge questioning Miss Kelso about the nature of their relationship.
For about 4 years on and off, whenever we weren't with somebody else, we were having sex with each other. And Mr. Davis and I had sexual intercourse while I was dating Mr. Hafner, even though he was out of town at the time.
So you were with another man, and then you saw Mr. Davis during that time?
Yes.
The Florida native even brought conception evidence to the court.
Mr. Davis and I had sexual intercourse on the 7th, while me and Mr. Hafner had sexual intercourse on the 15th.
Okay.
When he arrived back in town.
All right, so Mr. Davis, does this look familiar? Were you with Miss Kelso on January the 7th?
As far as that particular date, I'm not for sure. I was definitely with her during that time frame, though. Yes, Your Honor.
Evidence or no evidence, Mr. Davis was persistent that he was not the father because Miss Kelso had told him so on multiple occasions.
So this is a post from you, Amber Kelso. It reads, "My son is not yours."
Yes, I told him that because I didn't want him coming back to my house while I was pregnant. He put me through way too much stress, so I just told him the child's not yours to get him away from me.
When you tell a man, "My son is not yours," and you don't just tell him, you write it, he's likely to believe that.
I know, and I wanted him to because I wanted him to stay away from me.
After this, the trial became more like a blame game, with everyone being totally uninterested and bummed by the details. Judge Lauren called Mr. Hafner to the courtroom.
I have to ask you, do you think baby Connor is your child?
That's what I think.
You do?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, have you done anything for Connor thus far? Have you helped in raising him?
Yes, Your Honor. I have been feeding him, being there for him, showing him my love.
However, Kelso was not ready to back down that easily. She brought her own evidence. But this led to another round of confusion.
And this is a picture of Mr. Hafner's grandfather, which is your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
On the right. And you say you truly see a resemblance.
Yes, Your Honor.
On a scale from 1 to 10, that's an 11. And you compare our 2 pictures, and that's maybe a 2.
Ms. Kelso, I have to say, it's very interesting as I listen to...
I want to know who my son's father is. These people who have cared so much that they don't know the truth.
We got a little annoyed with the back and forth of the paternity claim. Miss Kelso's reaction to the result left us down in the dumps.
It's been determined by this court. Mr. Hafner, you are not father. Mr. Davis, you are the father.
My son needs a father. 2 other kids while I was pregnant. You knocked up 2 other girls while I was pregnant.
Take care of my other 2 and I'm gonna take care of my 3rd.
Paternity in doubt permeates every aspect of life. And that is why England turned to Judge Lauren's court to end the confusion once and for all.
You say that you and Mr. Kaiser have been together for 6 years, have a 3-year-old son together, but claim he's now denying your 6-month-old son Isaac, and you're here to prove that he is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kaiser, you acknowledge one child with Miss England, but say Isaac is not yours. You say that during your separation from Miss England, she slept with another man, and you are 100% sure he is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
However, Mr. Kaiser told the judge that the obvious infidelity in their relationship has also made things difficult for him.
The whole time, I stepped her back, true enough. But I stepped her back because we already had a 2-year-old son together, you know what I'm saying?
So you accepted her back. You said, you know what,
I did
let's
accept
try
her back,
again.
but she was still pregnant by his other man the whole time we were together, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that's
And
So the whole time,
Mr. Kaiser even tried to look like a victim in the case. Miss England, on the other hand, was not willing to play along.
I can't
If I,
say that.
while I'm at home to take care of the kids, Your Honor, she on the job messing around with this other man while I'm at home to take care of the kids.
I'm on the job messing around with another man. I'm working 12 hours in a dog bed factory.
If that's how you got his phone number.
And that's how I got it. Well, if you would have been taking care of business at home, no other man would have been able to even talk to me, but you were too busy fighting.
I understand that.
Though Miss England could not put up with Mr. Kaiser anymore, she wanted her children's father around. She even brought evidence showing Mr. Kaiser Kaiser was the father.
If your woman is working 12 hours graveyard, when your woman comes home, wouldn't you like to have a little breakfast or she goes to sleep? I had to put our baby to sleep when I'm coming home at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was all on Shirley and nothing was on Mr.
Not every
Kaiser.
day. She didn't have to put the baby to sleep every day, Your Honor.
But Mr. Kaiser refused to accept any evidence shown. So the judge brought in a doctor to analyze the genetic resemblance.
Well, the research is all over the place when it comes to a tongue tie. There is no research that says 100% that if he has a tongue tie, his child will have a tongue tie.
And the research I read said 50-50 chance if one parent
So it's
carries
not
it, 100% chance if both
100%
parents
chance.
carry the gene.
There is research out.
Even after hearing from the doctor, Mr. Kaiser's heart grew a little soft for baby Isaac. But he couldn't get his mind off the fact that another man was involved in the story.
Years ago, cousin's son was born with 18 years ago. So I guess it is possible. It's possible, but I mean,
just
she
said
still
it's
was with
possible.
this other guy for 2 weeks. Pregnant.
Well, that's why we bring in expert testimony,
So-
because we need
And we don't
to
know. We
understand
don't know.
it.
We can't find out if this other guy had people in his family that had them.
Still, Mr. Kaiser told the court he wanted Isaac to be his son, and that is why he came to court. However, the DNA hit the poor guy really hard.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kaiser, you are not the father.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry, Ms.
You sure? Are you
I'm
sure?
so sorry.
It's gotta be a mistake, right? It's a mistake, right?
I am so sorry, but it is not a mistake.
Miss Mahoney appeared in court after her ex accused her of cheating with 2 other men and denied paternity of her child.
Mr. Watson, you are in court to prove that you are not the biological father of defendant's 4-year-old son, Kevin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Mahoney, you say that Mr. Watson is the father and deny his accusations of infidelity. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Watson told the court that he has known his soon-to-be wife for a long time, but the sting of unfaithfulness is wearing him out, so he wants his doubts to be cleared once and for all.
I've known her since we were kids. We need to get these results because, you know, we are engaged and I would like to marry her and I really hope this is my son.
And you say the relationship's on the line, meaning if the results don't turn out the way you would like, the relationship, the marriage, everything?
It's out the window, Your Honor. It's over with.
When the judge asked Miss Mahoney how her child was being treated by his father, she said this.
Sometimes he gets real short-tempered with him and he just he'll sit by him and he'll move away, and it's hard as a mother to see that.
And Kevin's 4, so he understands this rejection.
Yeah, it takes him really hard. He's sheltered now.
Mr. Watson's next statements made poor Samantha break more into pieces like this.
And so you were away and you came home. What did you find when you came?
She had 2 men staying with her and they were showering her with gifts and taking care of her. Now, me as a man personally, I'm not gonna do that for no woman.
Being a man, though, you should have left.
I never left.
Miss Mahoney, did you have 2 men living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
You
I had
did?
no job. I had nothing to fend.
However, the alleged father refused to fall for his fiance's tears.
Okay, I was away. I couldn't.
When I called you and he was hungry, then what?
I was away. There was nothing I could do.
Like I said, there's a difference between being a father
Okay, so
and
if he was my kid, so bring other men around my kid?
I do want to make a clarification. Did he say he was the biological father?
No, he said
Pretty
that.
much, Your
no,
Honor.
He said
he
that
takes
was.
it how he wants.
He said that was his kid.
Miss Mahoney also admitted to other people attempting to approach her and her turning them down in order to be with Mr. Watson, while Mr. Watson himself was unfaithful.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman in any kind.
We've heard that before. Was there sexual contact?
Yes, Your Honor.
So how can you not expect this woman to do that?
After this, Samantha sobbed and told the story of a prior DNA test, which Mr. Watson refused to believe.
Finally, they found him and had him go up there and take the DNA.
What did the DNA test say?
99.9%.
That Mr. Watson was Kevin's biological father.
Yes, ma'am. And the state put him on that birth certificate.
Did you bring that test result with you?
No, I didn't. I even posted it on Facebook.
Mr. Watson, however, told the judge why he believed he was being duped by fake DNA reports.
First of all, I didn't see no government stamp on it. And when she showed me it, quote me on this if I'm wrong, when I read it, it read like 99
Of the black population.
Of the black
that
population.
That was my response. Of the black population in America, that he's 99.
And that DNA took about 7-8 months just to get here, and there was
'Cause
no
like I
seal,
said,
and I
It
didn't
took 7 to 8 months.
The result brought good news.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Watson, you are the father.
See? I love you. I love you so much.
I'm sorry, baby. I love you. I love you. I'm sorry, baby.
I know, it's okay.
This estranged ex-husband doubted that the child had his DNA, but his wife was ready to go to any length to prove otherwise.
You're also suing for child-rearing expenses in the sum of $3,617.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. McGee, you say you wanted to be a family, and that's why you married Ms. McGee, only to discover that after Serenity was born, your wife cheated on you and that you may not be the father of the child.
Yes, Your Honor.
While another man, John Coley, came forward with the hope that he was the father of Serenity, a 4-year-old girl.
And we are here discussing the paternity as it relates to Serenity. She said you all had sex within the window of conception, unprotected.
Yes, ma'am.
You agree to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you're Serenity's biological father?
I say it's a slight chance that I am.
So far, we're not shocked by the fact that there are 2 men in the game of paternity for 1 child, but the way Mrs. McGee tried to prove it was a little odd sort of maths. Even though it didn't sound very smart, still, Mrs. McGee is pretty sure about her calculation.
Because me and him was intimate more than me and him was.
But you understand that it is not about the quantities. It only takes one time, one encounter.
You're right.
Okay,
Your Honor.
let me just understand this though. You were intimate with Mr. Coley. You were intimate with Mr. McGee. Wasn't there another person as well?
They not even part of this equation because I use protection.
Jokes aside, the whole Mr. McGee leaving her pregnant wife was really heartbreaking to watch, and we felt sympathy for Mrs. McGee.
Any ounce of this 25%, like you say, that she was yours, you should have been there whether you thought she was or not. You still should have been there. Don't wait till now. When I did everything, I petitioned the court to sue him for half the cost I had to spend taking care of my child.
While Mr. McGee refused to be held accountable for not taking care of someone else's child.
Mr. Coley, who's supposed to be such a great father, gets mad that she didn't spend the money on him. He's such a great father, and you're not a father, you're elite.
Mr. Coley, how do you respond to that?
Mr. McGee, he's not really into Serenity. If they wouldn't have presented the birth certificate, you probably wouldn't know your own daughter's full name.
There
you
you
don't
go.
even know what your daughter get up and ask for when she wake up in the morning.
But guess what? When the DNA result arrived at the judge's desk, it proved that the woman had been correct all along, which she used very well for an I told you so guilt trip.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. McGee.
How you feel now? Bet you feel stupid now, don't you?
Ms. McGee.
You missed all them years.
Ms. McGee, let's be respectful. Because now we've determined that's your child's father.
Mr. Fritz had spent the last 30 years looking for his daughter, but now that he's found her, the 35-year-old refuses to believe him.
Over the last 30 years, you have searched to find your biological daughter, who you claim was taken from you as a child. However, just 4 months ago, this 3-decade search came to an end when you found Miss Agee on Facebook. You're now petitioning the court to prove that you are indeed her biological father. Is that correct?
Your Honor, that is correct.
Miss Agee told the court that she was not willing to put up with a stranger's lie, as she knew who her father was.
The guy that's on my birth certificate was not my biological father. He was married to my mother when I was born, but I do know who my biological father is. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I started asking questions about who my real father was, and my grandmother was the one who raised me. She told me my biological father was Buster. That's the only person she knew as my biological father.
Agee told the judge that because she had been betrayed by his alleged biological fathers, didn't want to go on the same ride again.
I wanted a relationship with my dad. I wanted my kids to know their grandfather. You know, I wanted that in my life. We went to his house, his sister's house, talked with her. I got pictures of him, you know, but she said that if he's my dad, he will contact me. And I haven't heard from him since, and I'm 35. You say you come looking for me, but obviously you didn't come looking for me because I live in Thomasville, a little town that you can find me. Found me when I was already married under my married name.
The reality TV judge asked Mr. Fritz how he was so sure that Miss Agee was his daughter, and he told this to the court.
After 3 months, I escaped from the penitentiary to go see my daughter, and at 2 months old, I went and seen my daughter.
I don't remember any
You
of
might
that.
remember these pictures right here.
What are those pictures of, sir?
That's a picture of Angel sitting on my father's lap, and a picture of her sitting with my mother and father when she was
May I see those pictures?
2 years old.
These are pictures of a baby that you say is Miss Agee.
Yes, ma'am.
Listening to Mr. Fritz, Miss Agee jumped in with her emotional gush, but the judge focused on how he finally found his daughter.
The day that I met her, I was sitting at the house. I was on Facebook, and I just started messing with it. I started looking at relatives, this name, this name, this name. Donna Angel. That's the name that come up with the numbers of people I was looking at. And I said, if this is Angel, I says, this is Danny Fritz, please contact me.
You contacted me on Facebook. We were talking.
Right.
I thought you was an old school friend because I didn't even know you were my dad.
Right.
After sitting on Fritz's side, the judge moved over to Angel and asked why she was upset with the old man.
I know this man is not my father because I know who my father is.
But then I have a gentleman telling me that he is my father. If he's my dad, why wasn't he there? Why didn't he look for me hard enough to find me? When a guy that's supposed to be my biological dad found me. And he found me in my married name. I don't understand that.
And when Judge Lauren hit Miss Agee's abandonment buttons hard, she started crumbling like this.
I'm here to help you. I'm here to be your daddy.
But you're putting out there that I asked you for money. I didn't ask you for no money. I told you what was going on. And if you would have contacted me and asked me questions, I would have told you what went on.
But Miss Agee, you don't have to ask father or a man that believes he's your father for the money. He heard you had a need, and his belief that he's your...
I'm not making a big...
Judge Lauren made Mr. Fritz express how much he needed Miss Agee in his life, as he did not have anyone besides her.
This relationship means everything.
It does, Your Honor.
Do you have any other children?
No, ma'am.
So the stakes, they're very high.
I really honestly do believe, and I gave us a lot of thought since I found you. God was there. God says, well, you know, you're still in this motorcycle club, and you're still doing this, that, and the other. There's no sense in God bringing you and me together because the only thing I'm going to do is hurt you.
After all that being said, when the results came in, they showed how much Miss Agee longed for her father.
It has been determined by this court. Mr.
Daddy.
Fritz, you are her father.
Yes!
That's what I'm talking about. I love you so much, baby. I'm so sorry.